Hi, everyone. We're on our next Facebook Live. I've got 15 of them for you this month, and they're all our speakers that are going to be at our VA Virtuosos conference in November. So I hope you can attend. Today I've got Terri Tutich, and I'm excited for her to be speaking with us. She's going to be talking about specifically getting started with email marketing with MailChimp. Am I right, Terri?
Yes.
And let me tell you a little bit about Terri here first before we get rolling. Terri is one of those crazy people, and she loves to play with code and loves to help business owners feel more confident about their website. She's been working with WordPress since 2008. Awesome. She has created, fixed, and saved hundreds of websites. Her services range from, she's even fixed and fixed our website. Do you remember that?
I do remember that.
Ranging from creating sites and WordPress themes from scratch to customizing and revising existing sites and including management, maintenance, and training. So if you need a WordPress website, Terry's the one to call, and we'll be putting her link to her website in there. It's beyondtheoffice.com, but we'll put that into the comments here shortly for you. A little bit more about her. As a child, she loved playing teacher, and now she loves working with ambitious entrepreneurs, helping them to feel more confident about editing, managing, and even building their own website. One of the reasons I got her back to speak at VA Virtuosos is because you guys loved her. So we're really excited. She's a great teacher. When your website is the core of your business, it's important to know how to have it work and what it needs, even if you have to have someone else do the work, and Terry's your girl. So I'm excited to have you here today, Terri.
I'm excited to be here. This is fun.
Yeah,
I like trying out new things, so we get to play with the new tech to make this work too. I'm doing my little dance. I always have music in my head.
Where are you located, Terri? What part of the
I'm in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. So I'm in the US. I'm in Pittsburgh. We're in that it hasn't quite decided to be fall yet here. So it's I've been running my air conditioning in October, and I'm a little bit annoyed about that because I love fall. And that's one of the reasons I like living in Pittsburgh, is because we do get solid, usually 4 seasons, sometimes all in 1 week. But this year it looks like fall might be escaping us. And I'm a little sad about that because I like to have my windows open when I'm working.
The leaves are turning though, aren't they?
Sort of. They're starting. But I have a magnolia tree in my front yard, and it's actually started to have new flowers bloom on the top of it because we've had such warm weather. And I'm like, no, the leaves are supposed to be changing, not new flowers. It doesn't know what it's doing anymore.
Well, I know you're not technically a VA now, but you still you're a service-based business.
Right.
What led you into starting up this business? What got you started?
So when I started my business, I did start as a VA. I had experience working with real estate companies and mortgage people. So that's what I wanted to specialize with when I started. And so I started contacting some local real estate offices to see, how I could help them as a VA. And one of my very first clients was a real estate office, and they said, well, can you build us a website? And I'm like, yes, because I know how. It wasn't something I had planned on doing, but I did. And then there was, a couple of other things. And I did some of the, we'll say, more traditional VA stuff in the first few years. But it got to the point really where everybody just kept asking me. The thing that they mostly wanted help with was websites. And I had taught myself, HTML and the basics, Dreamweaver before WordPress, all that stuff. I taught myself so I could do it. And then I had a guy that I built a site for, regular HTML site, and I built him a site one day, and he said, great, now how do I edit it and maintain it myself? And I said, hold on, I'll come back to that. And at that point, I had learned that WordPress existed and what it could be used for, but I didn't really know how to do anything with it. So my first dive into WordPress was was creating a custom theme because, the design had already been approved, the function had already been approved. So now I had to make it do all of that in WordPress. And I'm like, okay, all right, this is kind of cool. And I just kept, moving along in that direction. So, and I still did some of the, again, like the more traditional virtual assistant stuff, but I always kind of looked at virtual assistant more as a business model and not necessarily defining the services that you offered. Because it is, VAs all pick a different niche, right? We all pick a different focus, and some people will work exclusively with authors. So whether it's an industry niche or a service niche, but the VA thing is still kind of it's your business model. It's how you do the business. And that's the kind of thing that I've kept carrying with me. So even though I do focus mostly on websites and email marketing and that kind of thing now, starting as a virtual assistant and having that background so that I'm, familiar with and set up to work with people all around the world, rather than thinking I can only focus on the people that are close to me, which has opened up kind of a whole different way of doing things for me.
Exactly. And hi to everybody that's joined us here. I see a lot of people coming on here. Hi, Marie. How are you? I still like this. Watch this, Terry. This is so cool. We can put up her little thing on the screen.
Oh, that's so cool. Hi, Marie. Hello.
I know it's a tech thing. So, I still like that. And we're just throwing them up there. But if you guys got questions, go ahead.
Yes, absolutely. If you have questions, I'd love to hear.
Marketing, and that type of thing. And we've got Terry here to help you. Good question. How important do you think is a list to a service-based business?
Lists are really important. And I think part of the time people forget, and this is a mistake that I know I made myself when I was just getting started, is you're not necessarily going to sell something to your list in one message. So a list is more for getting people to remember you and feel comfortable with you and connected to you. Think about the real estate agent that's in your neighborhood that you get 20 postcards from a year. That's so that their name stays in your mind when you're thinking about hiring a real estate person, or the oil change place and all of those kinds of things that you get all of the marketing messages for. When you need an oil change, I'm going to go down to the guy down the street because they're the ones that keep sending me the messages. So your email list is kind of the same philosophy, but as virtual assistants, right, we're not mailing stuff to the people that are in our community. Our community is around the world and is everybody that you work with. So we do email marketing. So it's really important to stick with that. And this is maybe one of those cases where the shoemaker children have no shoes. I'm fantastic at helping my clients come up with a content plan and, remembering to do their campaigns regularly. And then I push, send and submit on their campaigns. And I remember that I don't want to talk about how long since I've done my own campaigns. So I'm great at helping other people with it. But if you're on my email list, I'm sorry, you probably haven't heard from me in a while.
I'm going to throw up Terry's link here too, because I mentioned I do that. Here's her website, Beyond. Did I type that right? Yes, Beyond.
You did. BeyondTheOffice.com. Yeah.
Do check her out there too. I see a couple of questions. Let me go into here.
Yeah, let's talk about the questions.
Wendy asked, yeah. Do you have a favorite program you use to keep track of the work you do for clients, like social media sharing that you can also share with your client on a monthly basis to show growth and effectiveness?
As silly and as low tech as it may sound, my favorite program for things like that is like Excel or Google Sheets or something like that, because we're looking at different things, right? So some of it's looking at the Google Analytics and the statistics that you're getting from that, your email marketing reports, tracking, likes and shares and engagement and whatever on all the different social platforms. And they all have their own reports, but you want to put it all into one concise place for clients to use. And I've just found that it's easiest for me to just keep track of it in something simple like a Google Sheets. And then it's something that I can either share with them so that they always have access to it, or I can just, send them a new report when it's done, depending on what they want to see. But I as much as I love tech, I don't always go for the shiny new thing. I stick with what works, and sometimes it's just what's easier for me.
Yeah, I use Excel or Google Sheets. I mean,
yeah,
I don't even use Excel anymore now. I've got Google Sheets because it seems to be up in the cloud and handier for me. I don't have to go hunting for anything when I'm on holidays or going somewhere. Because remember when you used to have to be connected to your computer, everything else is so much easier now. But
well, and see, that's why I love Dropbox, because then I can always log into Dropbox on, whatever device I'm on. And even I've done it from like the computer at my mom's house when somebody had a question and I had to look something up real quick and I didn't have my own computer. So I love it that I have access to all of my files there. So I do use, Excel a lot because I don't like necessarily keeping everything in my Google Drive, but I just make sure that, I have access to it basically from wherever I'm at.
Yeah, hopefully we don't lose our Google Drives. I mean, we're losing Google Plus now. Did you hear?
I'm pretty sure. I was going to say, I don't think that many people actually use Google Plus.
No.
I know. I think I hung on to it just because I had it, and somebody somewhere along the way said it's good for SEO, and I'm like, sure, I'll just. Hey, but I never use it. I don't think I've logged into that in over a year, so I don't think there's a lot of people that are too terribly upset that Google Plus is going to be going away.
It's almost like a relief. We don't have to look after that network anymore.
It's true. And I can remember, I don't know, umpteen articles and blog posts and, the frenzy of, oh my God, they're going to take away Google Plus. And then it's still there 2 months later. And then, it's just been discussed so much that I think maybe it's just time. It's just time. Yeah.
Wendy uses Trello. I don't use that. I can't seem to get into it for some reason. Maybe it's that Post-it note style kind of thing, where I'm more of a detailed list person. But yeah, she was saying she uses that.
I know that it is popular with a lot of people. I have a friend of mine who they do podcast management services and social media services for the clients, and her literally she has color-coded Post-its. And she just puts them in a regular spiral bound calendar. So not even tech at all. We're talking pen and paper and the calendar that you pick up at Staples at the beginning of the year. But that's what works for her. So, if Trello works for you, that's fantastic. Low tech Excel works for me. You got to find the right fit, because trying to make yourself force your way into using a system that just doesn't work the way you do is not going to be. It's not going to work out well for anyone.
Yep, exactly, Marie. You got to find what works for you or you won't use it. It's just the same as exercising. You got to find that exercise that you like doing or you're not going to do it, right?
Right. Well, and that's the reason there's, 42 different project management systems out there, is because they all work a different way and they all have different features, and you got to find the one that's the right fit for you.
Yeah. And I like that you're going to be teaching about MailChimp.
Yes.
Because it is free in the beginning for you guys.
Right.
I think still up to 2,000?
Up to 2,000 people on your list. And the last time I checked, up to 12,000 messages a month. So that means if you have, 2,000 people on your list, you can send 6 messages to your entire list each month. Now, I think that might be a bit of overkill, especially if you're just getting started. They might not want to hear from you that often. But you do definitely have some flexibility and some room to grow. And I do like MailChimp because it is free. So it's good to get started for people that aren't quite sure how they're going to do their email marketing yet, right? Do they want to do it weekly? Do they want to do it monthly? How do they want to have it integrated? There's lots of other systems that have lots of bells and whistles, and you're paying for them. But if you're not ready to use them, then it feels frustrating, right? Because then I signed up for one early on and it was kind of expensive. And I'm like, well, then I really have to get using it so I can make money from my list so that I can pay for it. And in the end, I just felt pressured and frustrated. And I'm like, I don't want to do this anymore. So I just canceled it and went back to, I stuck with what works for me. And then MailChimp has really grown and changed a lot in the last few years. You know, when it first came out, it was just your basic email stuff. And now they've added the automations into the free accounts, so you can do those welcome sequences and the nurture sequences and the follow-ups. One of my favorite features to use is things like groups and segments, which is like this hidden little gem in MailChimp, because a lot of people will talk about the tagging and the groups that you can do with some of the bigger systems, right? I'm like, well, you can do that there. You just have to just put some effort into figuring it out. And the landing pages that they offer now, I think are great. And especially for somebody that's maybe just getting started out, you can kind of start with a basic, like, this is not necessarily what I would advise long term, but you can kind of get started with a basic MailChimp landing page and a MailChimp account. And if you're tying that to your social media accounts when you're just getting started, that's a good place. And then you at least have a web presence. You have something that you can use.
Right. Marie asks, will you cover the topic, how to set up an email campaign on your MailChimp, when you do your talk in November?
Absolutely. That's one of the basic things we're going to talk about is just your regular campaign. So that would be your, monthly email message that you're going to send out, the second Tuesday of every month or whatever. They also do RSS campaigns, so you can have it tied to your RSS feed. Every time you publish a new blog post, it gets pushed out to your list. So that's kind of another way that makes it a little bit easier to stay in touch with your list more often without having to come up with separate content. And then they have something that I don't use a lot, but it can be very valuable, called A/B campaigns, where you can test two different options to see, like, is this subject line convert better than this one, and those kinds of things. But that's like, you have to have enough people on your list for that to make sense. If you've got 20 people on your list, an A/B campaign isn't going to give you a whole lot of information right now. But when you get, more subscribers, then it helps you.
I'm playing around with the things.
I can see the little bar of like what is showing on the screen keeps changing. So I don't know what's going on. I'm just whatever. I'll just keep talking. I'm good.
Distract you. Yeah, and you were talking earlier about how often should you email out and stuff like that. I know for me, and this is just personal, not me emailing out, but when I'm reading, like, first of all, I have one email that I subscribe to all my lists with, so that I can look at it that morning or not look at it. And, everybody's emails that they send out come into that list. But there's some days, I'll be honest, Terry, that I just go select, highlight, delete.
Delete,
everything when I'm too busy, right? Yeah. So, if you're only emailing once a month and you emailed me during that period from your newsletter, I might miss it. So that's why, I don't know, I feel like you almost got to email more than once a month, because how many other people do that, right? I mean, same thing though, you got to get started somewhere, and doing it once a month is better than not doing it at all, right?
Right. And that's where something like the RSS campaigns can really come in handy, because it's sort of like, I have to come up with newsletter content 4 times a month. If I'm going to email them weekly, right, I have to come up with a new one every week. And and what am I going to talk about? And I don't want to sound pushy and salesy and stuff like that. But if you're writing blog posts for your website, which you should be, because that's great for search optimization, and it's a great opportunity to share your knowledge and get people to trust you. But if you're writing that content anyway, repurpose it. I'm definitely a big fan of repurposing things. There's no reason to have to write new stuff every time. So an RSS campaign, and so maybe you send out, you have a new blog post that gets published to your site Tuesday. So Wednesday mornings, it's going to get sent out to your mailing list. And then maybe you throw in, one more personalized message once a month in there, or something like that, so that you're hitting people several times, but not all at once. I subscribed to somebody who, I'd say probably about a year and a half ago, she decided to start doing daily emails. So she literally sends an email out to her list every day. But they're mostly like sales pitches and affiliate links for something else and stuff. I have to say, I honestly don't read her newsletters a lot of times, because it's every day. It's a lot of stuff that I'm not necessarily that interested in. I think it's great that she's very connected in her industry, but I don't have time to read all of that. So as far as finding, how often should you email somebody, this really depends on you, on your list, on the expectations that you set. Don't tell everybody that you're going to send a message every day if you know you're not going to be able to do that. Don't tell everybody that you're only going to send 2 messages a month and then inundate them with, 8 messages. Set expectations, and then you have to learn, just kind of gauge sometimes how is your list responding to it. If they seem to be really engaged with your messages, maybe throw in another one. But it really is kind of unique. And I would say start with maybe twice a month, especially when you're just getting started and everything seems overwhelming. There's all of these things to do. So start with maybe twice a month, try to commit to that and be consistent with that for a few months. And, how stressful is that on you? How engaged is your list? Do you have a lot of people unsubscribing because you're sending them too much? Just kind of feel it out for a little bit, but don't overcommit yourself in the beginning, or you're just going to end up feeling stressed and pressured to do too much.
Yeah. And email marketing is good for your business. It keeps you in contact relationship wise with your clients or whoever your market is. So you don't want to get burnout from it right off the bat, right? Like, don't overdo it, or it will burn you out if you don't like doing emails and stuff like that. Someone asked, I think it was Marie, what is an RSS feed?
RSS is one of those fun technical acronyms that nobody ever really talks about. RSS stands for really simple syndication. But basically what it is if you have a blog, so if you have a WordPress site, or I'm pretty sure even like Squarespace, if you have a Squarespace site, does an RSS feed for your blog. But it's the way that content is formatted so that it's the way it's formatted so that the content can be distributed. So you can use things like Feedly that are blog readers that pull in all of that content from all kinds of different locations and have it all in one place. But it generates, and I'm going to try not to go too technical here. I'll do that later. It generates an XML file. And so basically when you have something like an RSS-based campaign, it goes and checks this file to see if there's any new entries on it. And if there's new information on it, then it takes that information and formats it into the message to send out. And if there's no new information, then it just doesn't send a message out. It's not going to repeat whatever was on top last week. It knows, it checks by the date. But if you're talking about pushing out blog posts to email, that's a way to basically automate it.
Yeah, it automates your blog post feeds so that you don't have to really send out a newsletter about it, right?
Right. Well, yeah. So if you're using an RSS-based campaign, like I said, it goes to check and see if there's new entries based on the way the file is formatted. If you aren't using an RSS-based campaign, then you would have to, you write your blog post and then you go in and make a campaign and manually add that in. So you just kind of, with an RSS campaign, you can set up the template once and then it's just done and it kind of rolls on without you having to interact with it all the time.
I'm going to give us one more question here because we're getting to the bottom of the half hour here. I don't want to keep you all day, Terri. I know you're busy with 2 kids and different things like that. But,
yes.
Elizabeth asks, what type of lead magnet have you found most effective? And I'm supposing that's on your audience too, right?
Right. That does. I mean, it depends again on the services that you offer and the audience that you have. Something that they can consume easily is generally a good rule of thumb. I have come personally, and this is like my personal opinion, not a professional one, I'll say, the lead magnets that are like, hey, come watch my video, and then tomorrow I send you another video, and tomorrow I send you another video. I personally hate those because I'm usually signing up. I'm usually, tooling around on Facebook when my kids are sitting here playing games and stuff on the TV, and I'm not watching a video then. I just don't have time to sit down and watch a video. But if it's an e-course or a PDF or something like that that I can read on my phone and not have them ask me 22 times, "Hey, Mom, what's that?" then that's something that's easier for me. So that's comes down to knowing your audience. So, do they super like the video? And so then maybe that's a good option for you. And again, something that's easy to consume. So this is not the time to pull out the 50-page ebook. You want to keep it maybe short, sweet, easy to follow. Checklists are good. Simple ebooks are good. I still have, one on my site that's like 10 things that you need to change on your website. It's simple, it's effective, it's a little bit evergreen because those things that I have in that aren't changing. So it's not 10 things to do in the fall. If that's the kind of thing that's appealing to your audience. And I think something like that would be great for maybe real estate agents or something where there is a seasonal component to it, but you have to make sure you're updating that all the time, because 10 things to do in the fall isn't a good thing to have on your website in March, unless you're in Australia, in which case maybe that is appropriate. So yeah, just make it easy to consume. And this is another one of those areas too, where you don't want to make it too stressful and crazy on you to produce. If you're not a person who likes to record videos, don't commit yourself to doing a 10 video series. Like, that's going to stress you out. It's going to come across in the content. It's probably going to take you forever to actually get around to making that lead magnet. So that's not helpful.
Yeah, and switch it up. I mean, if something's not working, switch it.
Right. And I mean, we've all seen lots of people that may have, 4 or 5 different lead magnets. Sometimes they have their basic one that's always on their homepage, and then there's other ones that they offer through social media or related to specific events. I'm actually putting together a specific lead magnet for an event that I'll be speaking at in November. So, sometimes it's targeting the message maybe a little bit more specifically works too.
And I think that question segues really good into my lead magnet I have for you today. And we're going to use Terry's affiliate link here. But if you go to let me tell you, we're having a conference. Terry's one of our speakers. We've got 19 other speakers, and it's all online, geared to virtual assistants, November 5th to 9th. And not to mention, we have like 10,000 prizes donated, $10,000 in prizes. 10,000 prizes.
It's a very important distinction.
Yeah, big difference there. But we've got sponsors that have donated $10,000 in prizes. And if you go to this link here today, you can get 1 free draw ticket in to win those prizes. And that's my lead magnet. Who doesn't want a free draw ticket to get in? You'll also get on to my newsletter. You'll hear about these Facebook Lives coming up all month and more about VA Virtuosos. But that's my lead magnet, is getting a free draw ticket. We've never done that before. And it's turning out very well. So every season, again, we have a different lead magnet and try different things out too. But I encourage you to pop over and check out our event and hopefully attend and learn more from Terri. She's going to be talking about MailChimp and email marketing. And it's going to be awesome. If you want to hear more from Terri, check us out there.
Yep. And I'm just going to throw one more note on here too. If anybody has any questions that we didn't get to today, or somebody that's watching this not live, when it's recorded on the page later, just go ahead and ask your question in the comments. I'll be keeping an eye on it between now and the Virtuoso, so I can, try to help you, hopefully encourage you to decide to attend VA Virtuosos, because it's a great collection of speakers that Tawnya puts together, and I always learn something from everybody. I love when I can watch the videos and to learn from everybody else in the industry. So thank you, Tawnya, for doing this. And if you have any questions, drop it in the comments and I will get back to you.
Great idea, Terri. And thank you so much for spending time with us here. I mean, it's not enough that you're speaking with us. You're doing a Facebook Live. So thank you so much.
It's fun. It gets me out of my shell. I spend a lot of time, as we all do, working at home. So I get to talk to other grown-ups during the day, and that's kind of exciting.
I know it is exciting. Okay, all right, everybody. Put your comments or questions into the comment area for Terri if you have any more on email marketing with MailChimp, and she'll be glad to answer those for you. And we'll see you all tomorrow. We've got another Facebook Live. I'll put into the comments area how to see that schedule.
Yep, and then I will be speaking at VA Virtuosos November 7th. I made sure I double-checked the date before I got on here. So I will see you all again November 7th.
Okay, thank you so much, Terri. Bye-bye, everyone.
Bye.
Now I don't know how to shut it off. I've been playing around here. I had that problem yesterday, too.
I don't know. The only thing I see is stop camera.
It just says end broadcast. It's right in my face. So
that one. That's good.
That one. Okay, see you guys.